Well, good evening. Thanks for being here. This is the February edition of First Fridays at First. As you know, we're really trying hard to develop an audience for these programs. The concept was to give musicians a safe place to play, because they're trying to get out and make music again, and give us a safe place to listen. And we're fortunate that we have a space where we can put 125 people in here safely, and we have a new ventilation system. So, and it's a great venue to listen to music. So please tell people you know about what we're trying to do here. This evening you're in for a special treat. There's a lot of jazz piano players that I like, but not too many of them that I really like, and not too many of them that I can say I know that are really good. And the gentleman that's leading this group tonight is Frane, is one of those. I met him several years ago at the University of Northern Colorado. He was recording a CD project out there, and I was just quite taken with his playing and his demeanor. He really brings a great energy and spirit to what he does. He is the Director of Jazz Studies at University of Minnesota Duluth, and he's been there 22 years, so he's been there since he was about 10 years old, I think. Isn't that right, Ryan? You were 10 when you started teaching there? And playing bass with him tonight is Gordon Lewis. Gordon is new on the faculty at University of Minnesota Duluth, and he is teaching jazz harmony and theory and bass studies, applied bass. And then the saxophone player with him this evening is Andy Peterson, who is a senior, and he is a jazz music studies major there. And he plays well beyond his years and his maturity. You guys are in for a huge treat. So have a great time tonight. Thanks for being here. And please tell people about this, because we're doing it again in March. There is a bonus concert next week. It's not the first Friday, but Claudia Schmidt is going to be in town. She's traveling through Minneapolis, and she's going to stop over here and do a concert for us next Friday. Has anybody ever seen Claudia play or sing? She's been on Prairie Home Companion, Good Morning America. You can look her up on YouTube. She's an extraordinary singer and songwriter and a storyteller. So if you looking for something a little bit different next week, come on out for that. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the Frane Train. Woo-hoo!
Well, good evening. Nice to see you all here, and thank you so much for hosting us and having us here to play some music for you. And our goal is to kind of have a good time, and maybe you can relax, put yourself in whatever, if you're thinking about a place when we play, or if you're just thinking about whatever it is that we cause you to think about, that's all we're after. We got a bunch of tunes that are kind of an interesting collection of them, and I'll share some things about them as we play. But I'd like to thank Don for the nice introduction, so thanks for that. We'll talk more about Mr. Fortner in a second. I do know a few things about him too, just so you know. We're going to start with the song. It's a George Shearing tune called Conception. And Conception is interesting. You know, many of these jazz tunes have salt and peppered history, like who really wrote Blue and Green, or who wrote these different tunes and who recorded them first. And Conception, George Shearing you might recognize as sort of a crossover type musician, a British-born person who moved to the United States to play jazz, and then kind of ended up doing some classical and some jazz. At any rate, this tune Conception became very popular with the jazz crowd. And Miles Davis actually recorded it on a record and kind of he changed a few things about the tune and then kind of put his name on it. Then he recorded it again on the great Birth of the Cool record, but the name is Deception, and he changed a few more things on it. So there you go, you can think about Miles, but this is Conception. thanks a bunch. Yeah. So Conception. So I don't know, does it sound like a George Shearing tune? Or does it sound like a Miles Davis tune? And if you picked one, you might be right, but it's probably George Shearing. But someone's going to tell you it was a Bud Powell tune, because he was involved in this whole scuffle too. So if you're curious about this tune, you could always go on to whatever listening app you have, and you'll find tunes called Conception with a little bit different melodies, and Deception, of course, with a bunch of different stuff. So Andy Peterson on tenor sax is pretty fun, isn't he? Yeah, just a fantastic, one of our really wonderful students, so I'm glad he was able to play with us today. We're going to do a tune called Sail Away, and Sail Away is a tune written by Tom Harrell. We kind of have this collection of a bunch of different tunes, and one of the things I didn't bring were any of my tunes, sorry, Don. But Tom Harrell is a wonderful trumpet player, and a really well-known writer in the jazz world of all kinds of tunes that have been written for big band, have been written for small group, and he's a very interesting personality. If you want to see someone who has been very challenged and very successful, Tom Harrell is one of those folks. And I've been lucky enough to be able to hire him a couple of times to come up for our jazz festival in Duluth. And one of the times he came up, he played with a school big band, our top big band. And we had a auditorium with about 700 seats, stacked full of students. And many of them were high school age students. And Tom Harrell comes out, and he plays a lot of flugelhorn. He plays trumpet, but a lot of flugel. And he comes out, and it takes him a long time because of some of his physical and mental challenges to get to the center of the stage. And with a full house, when it takes a long time, it's like this. It's like, and there's like, I'm like creating this awkwardness right now, and it takes a while. So it gets so quiet you could hear a pin drop. But when Tom put his horn to his mouth, like in the middle of that first tune, and he finished his playing, and the place just erupted, so because of his musicality. And anyhow, just kind of a fun story about Tom, but Sail Away is a very well-known tune of his. It's got all kinds of really beautiful harmonies in it. And the second time he came, he played with a small group, and like jazz tunes, we know, we get them from all kinds of different books and things, and half of the time the changes are wrong, or the melodies are wrong, or something's wrong. Tom Harrell handed me this. It's right. He handed at that time with the quartet. He's like, they played it, and I'm like, hey, do you have a lead sheet that I could have? And he's like, sure. And he gave me the lead sheet. So this may be the most correct I've ever played this tune. We'll see. right into trichotism. Right into trichotism? Kind of medium up if we can. Yeah. Thanks very much. That song was called Tricketism and featured Gordon Lewis on the bass. Gordon Lewis. Yeah, Tricketism. So that's an Oscar Pettiford tune, and Oscar Pettiford was also a bass player. And one thing that's interesting about him, I guess, is that he played a lot of cello. And I think it happened because of an accident. Is that correct? He broke his arm. Oscar Pettiford, very, very well-known and great bass player, broke his arm, and then figured out that he could still, in a sling, play the cello instead of the bass, because he couldn't play the bass. So he tuned the cello in fourths, if I remember right, and kind of like the bass is tuned instead of in fifths like the cello is tuned. And then he ended up playing, this became like a popular thing, and he was well-known for that, right? What am I missing about Oscar Pettiford? I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of the story. So Tricketism is a cool tune, but that, we were loosely basing that on Lucky Thompson recording of, that's kind of where that lead sheet came from of Tricketism. And it's kind of a fun recording, and I think it was from 1956. So we're doing a lot of 1950s tunes today, actually. But the next one, we have time for, no, I'm just kidding. No, we have time for one more. The next one is called, I'm really bad at bad jokes on Friday, just in case you didn't figure that out yet. But so the next one is called, I just noticed there's a trombone player in the back. I know that guy. How's it going? So the next one is called Falling Grace, and this tune is I'm smiling, by the way, you can't tell, but this is a Steve Swallow tune. You know, another bassist. I don't know why we're doing this. This seems like our glutton for punishment. But another tune written by a bass player and another really proficient and wonderful bass player, Steve Swallow. And Steve Swallow, I think he was a Berkeley student, and then one of the things that came out of that 1960s, 70s Berkeley thing was this book that we all used to read tunes, and it's called The Real Book. And in the beginning, Steve Swallow was kind of like not sure he wanted his tunes published in the book, and because there was no money in it. There were no, it was an illegal book to start with, and then it only became more illegal as time went on until Hal Leonard got a hold of it. But Steve said, I guess I'll have him print the tunes because I'd rather people were playing my tunes. And it was one of the ways that he became well known. And actually recently he started publishing all kinds of his stuff on his website for free, kind of with the same concept in mind. And I don't know why I'm full of all these useless anecdotes today, but that's Steve Swallow. And this tune is called Falling Grace. It's been recorded by numerous people, maybe most notably Bill Evans, the great pianist Bill Evans, with Eddie Gomez on a super fun record called Intuition. That's the first place I heard this tune. John Schofield, the great guitar player, has recorded it with Billy Stewart and all kinds of other folks. But we're going to play it with saxophone, bass, and piano. So enjoy Falling Grace. Thanks very much. So what are we doing up here, right? Like we're making a bunch of sound, right? We're making a bunch of different noises, and some of them make sense to us, and some don't, and some make sense to you, and some don't, and you know, what am I supposed to be hearing? Kind of like I said in the beginning, whatever you think you want to hear. You know, so oftentimes, you know, people come to concerts and they'll go, well, it looks like they're having fun up there, but I don't know what's going on, or I'm not sure I'm understanding this enough. And I always like to say, it's not really important that everyone is thinking the same thing. What's important is something is affecting you in some way. So if you're like thinking, wow, that's just a bunch of notes moving around, that's kind of cool, that's good. If you're thinking, boy, I wonder what they're looking at. Because that's like the question we get all the time, like, well, what were you playing? It looked like you never turned the page, but there were sure a lot of notes. So yeah, if it's like the kind of like puzzle pieces that we're doing, you know, I'll talk a little bit about that. But if that's what gets you interested, then that's cool too. But if it's nothing else other than just being in a space and like enjoying music with people, that's kind of just as good. So thanks for having this concert series. And again, truly, for us, Don Fortner made a comment earlier. He said, Andy's webpage is really nice. I'm like, yeah, I know. He's got a good page, And he's like, yeah, yours, the last dates that are on it, it's like a bunch of stuff in 2020. I'm like, yeah, that's also true. Because we haven't been playing as much. So it's really nice to be able to come down and play some tunes for you. And of course, before things changed to where we are now, there was a lot of this, right? People were hanging out, listening to music, and we had a listening room gig up in Duluth every month, and it was really fun. And we're getting back there. We'll be there soon enough. But thanks for coming and hanging out. Now, if you're interested in that technical question, I know this is like a classroom or something, but I'm going to hand this around for anybody that wants to look at it, and there'll be a quiz later. No, I'm just kidding. So if you want to look at it, I'll just quickly explain what we're doing. There's a melody on here. This is Falling Grace, and it's out of the real book that I was talking about. And there are some chord changes, and everything else, we're making it up. Okay, so if the notes that sounded good were like, yeah, they made up good notes, and if the notes that didn't sound good, just don't even talk about those. We don't need to talk about that. But I'm just going to throw this around because sometimes people are like, oh, that's interesting. Because growing up, as a pianist, we play all of this solo classical piano literature and Beethoven sonatas and Chopin etudes and all this stuff. And yeah, I did that, right? So there's a lot of that note reading that's not happening here. And it's just always kind of interesting to folks. So I'm just going to throw this around, and then we're going to play Corcovado. We're gonna play That's not the Tom Earl one. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Corcovado? Thanks much. Hopefully you were envisioning somewhere much warmer during that tune. Like if it made you think of anything, maybe it was some Brazilian beach somewhere where Antonio Carlos Jobim was writing that tune, maybe. I don't know, but that would be nice today. Don Fortner, it's funny how this gig happened a little bit, because that tends to happen in the worlds we live in. It's a smaller place than we think. But in December, early December, this group played for an 70th birthday party in Duluth. And a great friend of this person at the birthday party was going to sing a song with us. And, sorry? Exactly. Okay, good to know. And so Jerry came up to Duluth, and we rehearsed, and we played a couple of songs, and she said, "Oh yeah, I'm from St. Cloud," and we started talking and had a good time, and all of a sudden she said, "Oh, hey, do you know Don Fortner?" I said, "Don Fortner, wow, yeah, I kind of remember Don. That's been a while, but yes, thanks for ringing my bell, because my bell obviously needs a little ringing once in a while." And she said, "Yeah, well, he's this, that, and the other thing." And next thing you know, a little while down the road, I get a really nice phone call from Don. And one of the reasons that I remember Don is what he mentioned earlier about this recording. I had gone out to make a recording, and the studio engineer, Greg Heimbecker at the time, said, "Hey, yeah, we got the piano tech's been working on the piano, and I think you're going to like it, but he'll be here if you want to make any changes before we start recording." And I get out to Colorado and bring my trio out there, and sit down at the piano, and it's like liquid glass. I was just in heaven, and I'm like, and Don walks in, and he's like, "Oh, anything we need to change? What are they?" I'm like, it sounds wonderful, and it feels good, And he's like, "Okay, well, I'll be around. I'm gonna touch it up. We had our rehearsal," and he's like, "I'll touch it up before this and touch it up before that." Anyhow, that was my introduction to Don Fortner, and it was super, super cool because Andy gets to bring his saxophone to the gig, right? Like, Gordon gets to bring his bass to the gig. It might split on the way here in this cold weather, but he gets to bring his bass. My piano sits at home, right? So when you can show up to a place and have a piano that feels and sounds good, it's super, super fun. So if you want to hear how good, this is where the pitch comes in, you want to hear how good Don's piano sounded, the CDs are in the back of the room, and they're available for sale. Ha-ha! Didn't see it coming, did you? So anyhow, but I do have some back there, and after, if you're interested in grabbing one, I'm known to not sell them for a very high price. We're going to play another tune called ETA, and this tune is written by, again, it's kind of a contrafact, what we call a contrafact, a tune with a melody written on chord changes from a different tune. And this was written by Bobby Watson, a really great saxophonist, and it's over the chord changes of Lady Bird, which is a Tad Dameron tune. Yeah, thank you. Ooh, almost missed that one. Tad Dameron. So this is ETA. What's it? Lazy Bird. Yeah, Lady Bird and my Lazy Bird. I knew I had something sideways in my brain. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's getting late for Friday night. Oh my, everybody okay? You doing all right? You hanging in there? Yeah. Well, we have we're going to play another song for you just as a fun one and something that's a little more, it's different. You'll see. But I just want to introduce Andy Peterson again on tenor sax. That's very nice. And Gordon Lewis, of course, on the bass. And what was the third chord change in measure 7 on that lead sheet that I passed around? Thank you. Very good. A for the day. You're good. You're good to go. You may, I don't know, stop at Dairy Queen, get an ice cream cone. I don't know. Anyhow, yeah, super. It's a pleasure to be able to come play, and we'll be hanging out after if you want to chat about anything. Of course, we like people, so that's good. And thanks for supporting live music. I talk about this at most all of our concerts at UMD. Like just when we see students come out, it's super fun, and people come out and have this experience instead of logging in on Spotify or YouTube or whatever it is. So it's a different experience, as you know, but we appreciate you coming out, and very much thanks to First Presbyterian and Don Fortner, of course, for making this happen. It's a lot of work to get these things going. I know, I've done them. So thanks, Don, for making this happen. Yeah. We're going to play a tune called, it's going to be a little less formal in the jazz way. It's called Wing and a Prayer, and it's actually a Mike Stern song, a very wonderful guitarist. And here it is. Thank you so much. Thanks a bunch. Thank you. Complete pleasure for playing for you. We can't leave with that one song, so we have to leave with a little quicker song. So we're going to do a quick blues tune for you, and I don't know what it's called. Andy's going to pick one. Feel free to move about. You don't have to sit down. You can move. You can walk around. You can talk to your neighbor. You know, let's not be too formal. So here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, F. Very good, very good.